to my channel. It's your girl Deja, also known as the Healed Scholar, and we are back with another video. I know it's been a little while since I seen y'all. I had holiday break. The semester was so crazy. I've been so busy. I've been traveling. Everything has just been crazy, but we are back and I am so excited about this video. So for those who are new, welcome. My name is Deja. I'm a third-year PhD student at Indiana University, Bloomington, studying higher education. So it is the start of the spring 2024 semester. Happy New Year. And I am taking my qualifying exams. So in this video, I will be talking about the process of taking those exams. I will be talking about how I have kind of structured myself to be successful that while I'm writing, also how I'm working on keeping a balance with myself. So with that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and get into this video. I have a meeting in about 15 minutes, but I'm briefly going to talk about what the process is, what qualifying exams are, what is their purpose, and what does that mean for me in my PhD journey. Okay, everyone, so as mentioned, that this video is about the qualifying exam process. So if you are a current PhD student or if you are looking to get one, you will have to take the qualifying exam process. So I think this video will be really helpful in really guiding you on how to successfully do that and how to also keep yourself balanced that while you are writing. Okay, everyone, so let's get started on talking about what qualifying exams actually are. So when you're in your PhD, you take about 2 to 3 years of coursework and you learn a lot of theory, you read a lot of readings, and you just get familiar with what is going on in your discipline. So what the qualifying exam does is that it really justifies, all right, you have been in these classes, so what have you learned from these classes? Are you able to critically think? Are you able to critically analyze different topics? Are you able to take a broad topic, narrow it down, make it small, and really make a strong, concise argument based off of the sources and theories that you have seen during your coursework? So it is important to talk about what the exam looks like and knowing that it is divided into 2 parts. So I'm first going to start off with talking about part 1. Okay, so after you narrow down your topic more, you figured out what you want to write about, you then have to gather some historical background. You want to start talking about what are some moments that are in history that have made this issue prominent? So how has higher ed failed to really address that issue? And then you also have to talk about limitations, gaps that are in the literature, and also just how you would plan on moving forward then when you talk about this topic. So basically, in sum, that part 1 of your qualifying exam is really just all about you being able to take a very big topic, make it small, and make a concise and very clear argument about that topic. Okay, so now we have to talk about part 2. And the part 2 is where individuals really get to showcase what they are interested in studying. So I will go ahead and start talking about that next. Okay, so part 2 is when you get to showcase things that you are interested in. And for my department, and I'm sure this is common across all of the social sciences, is that you really get to talk about your dissertation work and your proposal. So the way that I like to think of part 2 is that it is kind of like a mini dissertation proposal. So in that part, you want to start talking about some of the literature, kind of where your topic fits within that literature. You want to start outlining your methods and also just how your topic can really help the field that you are in. So since I'm in higher ed, I will briefly just talk about mine. So I'm interested in really looking at Black students that are at small liberal arts schools. So then I will talk about the literature. So what has research been saying that's on this topic. I will talk about how my study will fit into that, and then I will move on to say, all right, so how does studying Black students that are at liberal arts schools contribute to research that is in higher education? And that's kind of what you want to do that when you're doing the qualifying exam. So just to kind of sum up here is that with the qualifying exam, you have a part 1 and a part 2. So part 1 is really all about just your theoretical grounding. What have you learned in your coursework? Are you able to take a big topic, make it small, and make an argument? Part 2 is about what you are aiming to study in your dissertation. Okay, so this is so how does your study contribute to your discipline? Why is it important? How are you going to plan to do that? And just those kind of things. Okay, now I briefly want to talk about what are some of the more logistic things about the qualifying exams. So what I have talked about thus far is about the portion that in which you write. Okay, so the writing portion, as I mentioned, is 2 parts. The first part, we have talked about the theories. The second part is what you want to study for your dissertation. Both parts have to be 20 pages long, double spaced. So in total, you'll be writing 40 pages of scholarship. And then after you write your work, you have to orally defend your answers. So I'm not completely at that phase just yet because I'm still in the writing phase. So I really can't speak on orally defending, but from what I've been told, from videos I've watched, from just speaking to different mentors and such, is that you are just basically going to adjust the feedback that your advisors have given you from your written part on the qualifying exam. I will also then talk about how the qualifying exam gets set up, kind of what the paperwork is, and really how that looks for y'all. So before you take your qualifying exam, you usually have to be at a certain part in your coursework. So for me, that I was pretty far along. I pretty much took all of my coursework and then I decided to go ahead and take my exam. So then you talk to your advisor, and really that your advisor knows that when you're ready. That my advisor was like, hey Deja, you're ready? So I was like, okay, I guess I'm ready, and I'll go ahead and I will take that exam. So basically your advisor and you have a meeting. It lasts about an hour, and you just really talk about, okay, like what are the topics that really interest you? And then so you also let them know topics that really aren't your strongest suit. So that's kind of what we did. And then your advisor will then pick the topics that are relevant to you, and you kind of have to start making your argument. So that is kind of the gist of what the logistical things are for the qualifying exam. Okay, so now since I talked about the actual groundwork, the outline of how the qualifying exam should look, I also do want to talk about some of the mental health aspects, self-care things too that come with that, because I know qualifying exams can be extremely stressful for students. But however, it doesn't have to be a process that is stressful. For me, the qualifying exam process has not been very stressful at all. I've still been living my normal life. I've been going to the gym. I'm going to the movies tomorrow. I'm hanging out with some friends this weekend. So you do not have to stay locked up in the house. You do not have to be a ball of nerves, have all this anxiety. You have to be confident in what you're able to do as a scholar, and know that everything you have done, all the classes you have taken, all the notes you've taken, all the readings you have read have led to this moment to where you actually do know what you are doing. So I am going to talk about that just very briefly though, because this video, I kind of wanted to just really show you all how I set myself up for success in doing my qualifying exams. I also want to show you kind of how I schedule myself that when I did my qualifying exam. So I will go ahead and just briefly talk about that, but then I really just want to actually show you the plan that I have, how I met my goals, and how I'm able to really get through this process very smoothly. everyone. So as I previously mentioned before, that I will be talking about and showing you all how I really keep myself organized during the qualifying exam process. So I'm currently now in my Google Drive where you can see here I have all of my documents. So I made a folder called qualifying exams. I have information that was from the documents that I completed, such as the application, the pledge, which those are just two simple forms you'll have to fill out. I have a folder with all the organizational theories that I want to just briefly look over. I made a folder for part one and part two, different resources and notes, my actual questions, my actual document for part two, and the writing schedule. So for the purposes of this video, I will go ahead and just really start talking about the actual writing schedule. So here is I basically outlined my qualifying exams by each day. Okay. So I went for the full 2 weeks. I put the date here, what my goals were, and any notes that if they were applicable. So as you can see here, I pretty much met my goals for what I want to get done. I can mark that off here. So today is the 11th. I actually met all of these goals here yesterday for the 10th. I just didn't go in and mark them off because I was tired. It was a long day. But this is kind of how I organize myself. So because you have to know how you write as a writer, you kind of have to understand what goals are actually reasonable. So I try to give myself grace within this time frame while also still having a pretty hard cutoff. So let's go ahead and just look at what I did on the 8th. So I'm gonna just make this back to normal again. So on the 8th, I just had very simple goals. I really didn't write anything because I was tired and I just finished a book chapter. But here I have goals such as I want to organize all of my documents. I want to take notes. I want to briefly outline documents. And then I did this whole schedule. So that was just my goals there. So let's look at my goals for today, which today is the 11th. So I want to finish a section of my organizational analysis. I have a goal to write at least 3 to 5 pages and then begin to work on my gaps, limitations, and research agenda. And then I plan on completing my part one on the 14th, which I believe is actually a Sunday. Okay, so this is just briefly how I get into organizing and keeping things like going really, really well for myself during this qualifying exam process. Okay, everyone. So in the previous clip, I discussed kind of my part one. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about my part two of how I organize myself for the qualifying exam. So on the 15th, I plan on having a rest day because I think taking breaks is really good and productive. So I won't be doing any writing at all. I will give myself a break and then I will come back to it the following day on the 16th. So one thing that makes my planning unique is that I have a plan for what sections I'm going to do and the page number associated with that. So here on the 16th, I have a goal of working on just my part two, my intro and the lit review. I'm going to outline my methods and write at least 5 pages. So this is just the minimum that I want to write. If I go over, that is great. But if I don't, then that is also fine too. So one thing that I really like to do is that I really like to take things section by section. because doing something big as qualifying exams can feel really overwhelming. But instead, I try to make it where it is reasonable. So I focus on each section at a time. So as you notice too, I take a few days for each section. So in part two, since the method section is pretty heavy and I'm going to really have to do a lot of groundwork for it, I'm taking about 3 to 4 days to just focus on just that section, while the lit review and the concluding thoughts will not take nearly as long. So you have to be sure you're planning according to how much you have to write and how much effort the writing takes. Also, as you could see, again, I have things ordered by the page number, because since I have to write 20 pages, I'm not going to sit and just write 20 pages all at one time. Instead, I like to break things down by page number because I have a lot of writing to do. So this method really helps me to just really ensure that I'm able to make something that's really big and daunting feel actually very, very small. And that's kind of the method that I use. And then here on the 21st, I want to get all of part 2 done, make everything cute, make everything look nice, make sure everything is good to go. And then on the 22nd is when my qualifying exams are due. So then I'll be submitting them and then moving on to my next project. Okay, everybody, so we are off screen and I showed you all what to do for the qualifying exam, how I organize myself, how that organizational system has worked for me. I talked about what the qualifying exams are, what the purpose is, parts 1 and 2, and I really hope that this was helpful for you all. Again, as I mentioned, if you have questions, please put them in the comment box. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my description box for my email, my website, my LinkedIn, and be sure to keep in touch with me, y'all. So with that being said, I will see y'all in my next video. Y'all have a good day.